I'm glad to know that I am alive. Now everybody got a good look up my nose. See my nose hairs as I fixed my lights to make myself look better. I don't know that it worked because I'm looking at myself and I'm seeing it. Okay. Last week I gave a challenge. All right. Let's see if somebody had a plan or business idea they want to put together, and we were going to review it in public and build something that would be worth looking at, something we could see as a demonstrable success, that the practice of this spirituality leads to some kind of success in some way. People don't really use that. People don't believe that. People don't see it. But the elements of this faith are not the things that give us things as they do in Christianity. They are the things that provide the wherewithal by which we can attain magnificent things. Good evening. So, one of the things that we have to deal with when we're dealing with a plan of any kind is just what I said in the title. And I'm going to be a stickler about this, and it's something I paid a great deal of money to Justin for to figure out. All right? Hey, babe, is remove the ambiguity. Well, what's that mean? Well, let's take a business idea. Somebody got an idea they want to work with? Anybody want to throw something out there? Shanae. And let's put this thing out here in the public light and see what we can come up with. So, first things first. What's going on, Jeremy? Dude, I'll tell you what. I saw Joey Diaz say one time that if a dude had 3 good friends, if he had 3 solid dudes, maybe it was 5, who gives a fuck? The other 2 will show up shortly. He could take over a country. I feel like we could take over a country. Right? All right, so what I want to get down to is going over what I talked about last week. The power of our spirituality with regards to our ability to be successful in this world, right? So the goal is to thrive, right? The goal is to be able to survive. It is not just to survive, right? The goal is to thrive, right? And it's a real pain in the ass too, because I'm comfortable. Right? Why should I step out of my zone of comfort when my needs are bad? I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not in such a predicament that I need to radically alter everything about my life to pursue a dream. And I think that's where 90% of the people in this world are at. We're not really content. We have enough to take care of everything, but we're not at a point where we need to say, you know what, fuck a bunch of this. I'm going to go do something radical and change my life. Yet we've done it for our spirituality. It's a pickle. Now, I've sold books for the better part of a decade now, right? More than a decade. And I've sold tens of thousands of them around the world, right? All different kinds. They're still selling. Every month, somebody buys my books. Now, the thing about running a book business is I don't have a distributor. So now if I'd written a book for Llewellyn and let them determine what my book should look like, what it should come up with, what it should sound like, I would be a very prominent, very popular, notable heathen author that few, if any, could contend with, right? Exactly right, man. We're not at that point where we're like, well, hey, I got to do something or I'm going to fall through. Too many safety nets around. Right? Family, friends. We get a paycheck every other week or every week. Maybe a little money coming in on the side. We might have a pickup truck. My grandfather said, if you have a pickup truck, you can always survive. If nothing else, you can help somebody move. Right? Pick up scrap. You can do something. You can haul stuff. Lots of business plans out there. Lots of people out there making a lot of money. It's very alien for us that are comfortable to sit here and think, well, why do I need to do that? Oh, I'll get that taken care of here. Yeah, I have a little bit of stress, but I got this, and I'm going to get taken care of that. Now, a couple of people on here, Jeremy, are you trying anything on the side, Jeremy? Well, I know that Shanae and Leroy are, right? Okay, so let's then you'll be our baseline. Okay. You can be the person that says, that don't mean shit to me. That's what we want from you. Okay. Just the average person coming out there, because we're all looking at it as promoters, as goers and seers and doers. We're not looking at it from the perspective of how does somebody else outside of it see it? See what I'm saying? So it's important. Yep, it's true, man. Overstock Amazon pallets. Holy cow. Well, fuck, man. If you're going to do that, go all in. So one of the things, so I spent some time with Justin at the first of the year, right? I didn't have the money to do it, but I did it anyway, right? Because I was thinking about writing a new book, and I have quite a bit written, and Shanae's seen some of it, and there's some real important ideas that I learned from him, and yes, I have talked with him, and yes, I am giving him all due credit, and he does have a school, and he's got a thriving school. His is free. Costs the school platform costs $100 a month, right? So you get somebody to pay into it and get all the programs. Exactly right. See, you know what, Jeremy? That's one of the things that got me too, was doing construction work. I always wondered how these guys get off work and go home and still have all this energy to be relaxed with pep and make dinner and do the dishes and play with the kids and all that shit. I was beat. Exactly right. Okay, so one of the things we're going to discuss, we're going to start with, is we're going to train people how to treat us. Okay. Yeah, I did heavy construction for a decade and did tower work for 20 more years, and it didn't matter that the tower company was mine. It still beat me up on a daily basis. Right. One of the things that we got to look at a couple of things. Number one, we got to remove the ambiguity. What are you trying to do? What exactly are you trying to do? What is it that your product or service is going to offer to someone? Right? Doesn't have to be over the physical. I get that, man. I'm going to tell you though, when I started B&E Tower, I started it with I had a harness and I had enough money to get an insurance, a $1 million general liability policy with a $10 million umbrella. Had my car insured on it and everything. That car was a little Nissan that had a clogged catalytic converter that would barely make it up a hill. And I went ahead and did it anyway. And my parents were beside themselves. My wife at the time even called it a fly-by-night operation. That lasted for about a year of struggling, 2 years, but then I started making some real money, right? I was in that position where I had to. None of us are in a position where we have to. We're in a position where, well, I got to shit or get off the pot. I either got to make some money with it, or I need to quit messing with it because it's costing me money. Okay. So how do we do that? How do we break that? How do we make that decision to go from, all right, I work a job 9 to 5 or to 10 to 8:30 or whatever you work. And then I need to allocate a certain amount of time, how many hours, to making this business run. Well, in those few hours of making that money on the side, we need to be very, very, very disciplined about what we're doing with it. The Fetch app. Holy cow, I got to do that. Right? Check that bad boy out. Okay. There's a little way to make money. So I have money coming in a couple ways. Thank you. That'll work. Please do. Me and Shanae will both do it. So where was I at? Oh, the discipline. Mastering the cycle of time. We have to be very disciplined about what it is we want. So in aligning that discipline, what should it look like? How should I discipline myself to work this project that's so far been working me? And I hate to quote the Joker, but I'm going to do something. If you're good at it, don't do it for free. All right. I'm a walking violation of that, doing this for free every Sunday. So if you're going to allocate 2 hours and you have a product that you need to make, that you want to make, that has become something that is somewhat profitable for you, one is you need to realize it's going to require an investment of time outside of what you're comfortable doing, or more than you're comfortable doing. Okay, so if it's taking up too much of your time in the actual manufacture of it, how do we automate that? How do we put something together that changes the very dynamic of how you fabricate or make the product that you want to sell? Okay, if it's information that we're trying to sell, we have to be very careful with that, because the market is flooded with people selling information. It is everywhere you turn. There's someone that is selling information with the same framework that you have, and you have to figure out, okay, what makes mine better than that? People are going to look at that. It's got to be sexy. It's got to be attractive. It's got to be clear with no ambiguity. Same thing with your product. If you buy this product, you'll have form, fit, and function, right? Right. So one of the richest men in the world, Dan Pena, does a QLA, right? Let me see if I can find it. Right. So he does the official website. He does everything. Everything that he has, he gives away for free. And yet he runs his seminars, and people pay tens of thousands of dollars to go there and listen to him teach the very same information for free. Why? Because he's made it sexy. He's a hard-ass, tough-nosed corporate raider from the 80s that would buy a company, cut that son of a bitch up into chunks, and sell it, right? And make a fortune doing it. And he did it all the time. Now he's training people how to do it. We can do the same thing. Why aren't we doing it? We don't know how. Well, the information's free. No, I probably better pay for it. Why would you pay for it if it's free? Well, because it might mean, because now I'm invested in it. See, there's a real trick in the human mind there that he's playing on very cleverly, right? He knows that people will pay to get close to him, to listen to him, treat them like a hard-ass, hard-nosed executive, the way they used to be when they built the corporate America that's the foundation of today, instead of this woke, soft nonsense, right? No one cares, work harder, right? Everybody says that tongue in cheek. That used to be the way it was. Nobody cares, work harder. I would hear people call in with, well, I don't give a shit. We have a project that's going to run 12 weeks. I need you here every day. There you go. So what we got to do is we got to make our product sexy. We got to make it look good. You buy these pair of britches, you're going to have the best looking. You're going to have America's ass. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. It's going to be perfect. It's going to look awesome, right? Industriousness and perseverance are vital aspects of all of that. Everybody's going to have the discipline to sit down, the integrity to sit down and be honest and write it down and follow it to a T. I have 3 hours to make candles. Okay. In that 3 hours, if I set 3 hours aside and I don't have the material to make that candle, I have failed to properly prepare for the task I need to do to be successful at the next show, right? This is a struggle that Shanae deals with, right? She is a generous person, an amazingly generous person with regards to these things that she creates. And she gets an enormous amount of acceptance from this creative endeavor that she shares and sells. And so she's getting social acceptance. She's getting personal acceptance. It's rewarding to share this thing with other individuals. And she makes some money at the craft shows and online and in teaching classes and all these other things. So all in all, the rewards are amazing outside of the stress of how to keep up. Because there's always a breakover point with a business where, okay, I'm at a breakover point where I got to figure out how to do this better to get where I want to become. Most people pop a clutch at that breakover point because we don't know what that looks like. we haven't set a clear image of what that is. What does that look like if I keep on doing this way here? Okay. So there's a certain amount of validation personally already happening when you're dealing with an individual you've undergone this creative exercise and found acceptance with it, right? There's a very healing and cathartic thing that goes with that as well. Now we want to make money with it, and there's a real fear of what happens if I don't sell as many because I'm not giving any away and people don't like it as much because I'm asking for money for it now. What if that falls on? How will I personally accept? Because that's almost like a sense of rejection. All right. I know this because I've had to do it. I've had to go through it. Every time I write a book, I've taken the best things that I could think of and put them on some paper. And I go back and look at them now. Some of them are good. There's really good stuff in all of them, but there's some of them that I'm like, wow, you came off pretty angry there. You can tell that there's something going on. Right? And there is things going on. There are things that I feel passionately about that people don't want to pay any attention to. Things that I feel are dragging us away from our initial thing, right? That is, the practice of our spirituality should be allowing us to create an image of what kind of person we wish to be. The development of our ability to make money on the side or use it to become a full-on business endeavor of its own, we should have an idea what that image should be. We have to remove all of the ambiguity from all of that, right? So in my writings, I remove that ambiguity. I'm removing that ambiguity and I'm laying it out clear as day. If you do this, this is what you're going to look like. But I have very rarely ever said, you will look exactly like this individual when you get done. This is the kind of person you will become when you get done with my program. This is exactly what you will look like. Today, right, I have one program I run where it's real clear. When you get done, I will have this accreditation set up. You will be learned in mental health first aid. You will be learned in frontline leadership skills. You will be skilled in the runes and our lore and our spirituality and counseling. There is no other program in all of Ossetru, Norse paganism, heathenry, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that has that scope of individual training in it. Period. All right. And I'm unleashing that on the world. Now, are they beating down my door to get to it? Nope. Why? Because people live in a world of ambiguity. Instead of clarifying exactly what it is we want, we will look for a sign. Oh, I saw a raven today. I must be on the right path. Oh, I had some deja vu. I must be on the right path. Oh, things are going well. I must be on the right path. There's no impetus to change or grow or develop to become something better in that mindset. See the problem? So what is it that allows us to take a creative endeavor that allows us to express the best of what we are and share it with the world and risk rejection on a corporate level, on a wholesale level, to watch negative reviews pour in about something that you've written by somebody that doesn't want to, I don't want to have to do it that way because the way I do it, see if I can find this. This will give you a hint of what I'm talking about. Get some insight into personalities. So that's one of the things is we got to pay attention to personalities. Jesus Christ, there's monsters in the sky. If you are a follower of the old gods and of the old ways, I'm sure that you know, understand, and most of all live by these virtues, and yes, by the have-em-alls as well. Morals and values are made to live our lives more wisely in a more graceful way. But you know what works out even better? This is good. To listen to your own intuition, to be to your true nature. That's the best guidance you will ever have. So if that were the case, why would the opening for the Rosetta in both books be two men that tried to sneak their way into Asgard, disguised and coming by the way of the snake and using magics to try to sneak their way in? Because that's the true human nature. The reason the nine noble virtues are so difficult to do is because that's not people's default setting. We live in a very complicated world. So now we're going to take all that confusion, we're going to try to use that faith to help us embolden using our spirituality to help us find the strength necessary to be disciplined enough to build a business that makes us a shit ton of money. When you got people out there saying that, oh, just listen to your intuition. Yeah, you should. If you've cultivated yourself and have honesty and integrity and industriousness and perseverance and all that stuff, most people don't live like that. Most people give it lip service when it's on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or wherever you want to do it. Right. So the first thing we want to do when we do the business is, like I said, remove the ambiguity. If somebody follows through with this, they purchase your candle, they buy your course, they engage you in some kind of commerce, what do they look like after it's over? So if they get it home and they buy a pair of britches from you and the seat rips out in a week, it's not going to go very well for you, is it? Okay, so how do we got to put a little time into what we're doing. Same thing with these candles that Shanae makes. So Shanae makes these candles. She puts an enormous amount of her own heart into finding the scents that work well together. I got one right now that's been burning all day long. My house smells amazing, right? I feel like I've got a wise decision right here in this candle. My house doesn't smell like salmon patties or spam and eggs, right? It doesn't smell like a bachelor pad. It smells like a nice home. Okay, so there's something we can hit on right there. If you buy these candles, help to embrace the ambiance of your own home. If you've seen her advertising on Instagram, she's always very creative in her words of what these things are, right? It touches something in our imagination. This is how we train people how to treat us. I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. Okay, much better. I feel alive now. Thank you. Pardon me for that. Where were we? Don't burn more than 4 hours of time. Well, probably better blow it out then. But it is an amazing candle. It is an amazing scent. So her creativity that goes with her advertising helps create in an individual the thought process of what they'll look like when they burn one of her special candles. Exactly right. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, well, exactly. No one cares. Work harder. So when we do these kind of things, right? It's the same thing with managing people. So if we want to deal with an individual, right? Well, the first thing we want to do is not offend them. We don't want to put them on the offensive. So if we're going to work about managing someone's performance, right, which is kind of what we're doing, we're setting something up here to help inspire somebody to want to do something that is trade their money for your product. Okay. We want to praise that reinforces that behavior. Say what we observe, how it impacts us or the team or their family or anything, and we encourage them to do it again. Okay. Now, negative stuff is the exact same thing, except we have to put in there, how do we want to see the behavior change? So Dan Pena has this magnificent model where he does both, right? His corrective feedback, he will literally call them a cunt. And they paid tens of thousands of dollars to go sit in person and listen to him say that to them. Because people, they don't want to be told what to do, but they want to be told what to do. And it's the weirdest thing. I deal with it every day. We don't want to tell them what to do, but we got to tell them what to do, right? You have to understand how to, the task needs to be understood, supervised, and accomplished. It's a principle of leadership all the way around. It's the same thing in marketing. We want to inspire people to make a decision to invest in that which we believe will be most beneficial for their life. Now, that candle is part of it. You're going to be sexy as fuck when somebody walks into that room and has that candle burning, and they're going to say, oh, wow. Whether they know it or not, mentally, their mind is going to go switch. Okay, I'm dealing with somebody here that's might have a little class, right? House doesn't smell like a box of cat shit. There you go. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. People don't want to be told what to do. They want someone to lead them. That's correct. Oh, you do put pheromones in them, don't you? Shanae cheats. Shanae ain't no dummy, right? So she puts pheromones in her candles. So, yeah, subconsciously, I mean, it's like a subconscious panty dropper, guys. I'm just going to tell you. You buy one of her sexy ass candles, it's a built-in panty dropper in the wax. It's amazing. I don't even know how. I mean, there's no better selling picture than that, right? Whoo, come on. I mean, somebody walks in your house, you're burning that candle, it's all of a sudden it's a whoo, come on. Yeah. Now we're talking. Yeah. Throw something like that in the 70s and we got ourselves something going on. Everybody be hollering about Jesus. That's how that spiritual revival in the 70s really began. Nobody wants to talk about that, but it's true. Holy shit, I'm going to smoke a turd in hell for that, ain't I? Okay. But the entire part of the discussion, the conversion from the thought to the actual act is a part of the conversation. It's a part of how we talk to them, right? We're telling them how to treat us, and then we're telling them how we expect them to act in a certain regard. It's all about business, right? And it's a very difficult thing to do because our responsibility as pagans, as heathens, as also true is we got to maintain our integrity with that. And I guarantee you, there's people that will see the shortcut. The shortcut will appear. A small falsehood, a white lie, a little bitty piece of information left out might close a 6-figure, 7-figure deal for you. But you got to deal with that. And we don't live in a spirituality that says, oh, well, you can just ask forgiveness. No, you be honest up front about it. Period. There is no other way to do business. The reason I made so much money as a stupid dude that was too dumb to understand he couldn't do it was I was honest about it. Yes, I can be there this time and I can get these deliverables to you on this date, and that's the best I can do. Or I did this, I made this decision because this is why, okay? I lost a 6-figure contract one time because I made a decision. And when they asked me, I said, yes, I made the decision and this is why. Okay, well, we're not going to use you anymore. Okay, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your opportunity. That was my deal to deal with, right? It was for a company out of the Northeast in New Jersey, and their thought process is a little bit different than mine. But if I'd have told a lie, they would have covered for me, and the business would have continued on. I didn't want that, and it sucked. It sucks terribly. I hated it. It was one of the most painful things I ever had to do. But I wasn't going to go in there in any other fashion. You simply cannot do that and expect to maintain a solid, good business. Now, my grandfather did tell me that behind every great fortune is the shadow of a lie. And he's not wrong. Behind every great fortune is the shadow of a lie. As much as that sucks, as much as it sucks to realize that, it is the truth. There is... BlackRock is founded on some pretty shady deals itself, right? All of them are. All of these multimillionaires, billionaires, there are some things in there that somebody got sideways and somebody got construed and things weren't left out. But we ain't there yet, right? First thing we want to do is figure out, what are our stages of our business, right? First thing is we're going to discover exactly what it is we got going on, right? I have a financial model that will, if you follow it, will make sure that you have within 90 days an extra $10,000 a month coming in if you follow this program. I have a non-GMO soy hemp wax candle with pheromones in it that will make you the sexiest person in the room when anybody else comes in, right? Or even if nobody else comes in, you're still going to be turned on all by yourself, right? And then we got to connect that to the world they live in. Okay, why would somebody need a candle like that? Well, because it's not some trash that you can just buy off the shelf at Walmart. This is a top quality, custom made, handmade, special limited edition candle that's built with all the blessings a pagan heart can offer it. Right? This business model, this type of investment allocation, research, and business proposition is the kind of proposition that within 90 days you'll have. It's not from China. That's a pretty good one. We'll have you'll have $10,000 extra, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in your bank account. You just have to follow these steps and do just this, this, and this, and then show them how you did that. So if I want to go to Justin right now and say, okay, Justin, you're charging $300 per counseling hour, right? That's his going rate. And then it's more in the mastermind sessions, right? His clientele will tell you that I started following this, and within 1 year, I made an additional $4.5 million with my company. That's a real deal for him. That's the legitimate thing there. That's exactly what it is. So if you have that set up, if you have that framework put in place, the most important thing you can do is get a bookkeeper and then get somebody from the outside to look at what you got going on and help you fix it. Period. Right? I would still be in business if I'd had somebody outside helping hold my feet to the fire. Right? As it is, I got inside my own head and about how great I was about how I'd done this on my own, which largely I had, and managed to piss it all off. Okay, so now we've got people out here. Shanae, what are the biggest challenges facing you right now with your candle business? Is it your customers? Is it is it distribution? Is it production? Is it sourcing material? Is it balancing the balance sheet? Right? So one of the first things that happens when an individual starts making money on the side is they don't keep that money separate. It automatically goes into the personal budget to help round out shortcomings of other things instead of keeping it separate to understand how it's supporting itself. I did this, and it was horrible to get out of, right? The first couple of years, we were so broke, I didn't pay myself, but everything that I was making was going to keep us alive, to buy groceries, to pay the rent, all these other things, and it sucked. So when it came time to file taxes on it, it got very hard to do on my own, right? Then you got to get the software, then you got to go back and redo everything. Now I got to spend a bunch of hours doing something that I'm not getting paid for. How much is your time worth? You've removed your ambiguity, right? You've centralized the idea. If you do this, if your customer does this, they will look like this when it's all said and done. This is what they will be, and this is what they'll be capable of, or this is how they'll be thought of when they buy your product, or this is how much money they'll have, or this is how much fat they'll have lost, or this is the kind of muscle tone they'll have, or this is, or on and on and on. Exactly right. You have to keep it separate, right? Now, there are other financial models that say put it into a trust and all the other things. If you have an attorney or you have access to any kind of legal help that will allow you to do that, do it. Don't waste time on it. Get busy on it and do it. Right? So we have to figure out, okay, what is the primary currency of what we're dealing with? Right? What's the primary currency of what we're dealing with? Well, the first thing people would say, well, the primary currency is going to be our money, silver and gold in the safe, right? But is that really the primary currency that we're dealing with? Because before any money's ever exchanged hands, we're making an exchange of thoughts and ideas. It will. You can get it set up for that. Right? Of what it really looks like to own your stuff, to buy into what you're doing. What's the currency look like? What is the real currency of what you're dealing with? Is it just money? Is it a pure commerce transaction like with candles? Or is it an entire change of lifestyle as it is with Leroy's? An entire change of your entire horizon. Now, can Shanae do that? What would be the best way for her to magnify or you get some kind of force multiplication in her business? Right? If she were to design that process and lay it out and sell that process along with custom products from Shanae's cabinet, from Shanae's apothecary, for her custom candle making business, to sell the process by which she does it, the exact amount, so on and so forth, and then buy the products from her, and the products she sources wholesale and she marks up 10%. So now she's sold the process and now she's got a reliable customer to continue to do. She's making more money than she ever began to imagine. Right? And she's not making candles. She's making the candles she wants to. Right? Custom ideas, limited editions from the manufacturer, from the queen of candle making herself. Now all of a sudden, the very dynamics of a hobby that makes money in a craft show changes. Now she goes to the craft show with custom labeled Shanae's apothecary or whatever she wants to call it, and they can go make their own using her ideas and her recipes and her products for a package nominal deal for schools, for nursing homes, for families, for survivalists and preppers, for anybody that burns a damn candle. I don't care if it's a hippie commune in Oregon, right? Check these out. Exactly right. Yeah. You saw it though, didn't you? Copy the process that works. That's the whole deal, man. It's not the idea is great. Build a better mousetrap, but selling the plans for the better mousetrap is the much better deal. There's a company that does my mom does embroidery work. She bought one of those $40,000 custom embroidery machines, you program it in. And it'll do everything. It's amazing. There's a company in Australia, and they have a you do need bees. There you go. There's another idea too. We can do that. You can sell all the fresh beeswax you want to. They had a thing that removed a stitch. And I said, show it to me. Somehow they got somebody to manufacture a beard trimmer, a nose hair trimmer, and it was in a pink body. And to go through and cut up all the stitches all at once. And they marked it up 50%, and they sold out of them at the last show. They were from Australia. They were in Houston and in Dallas. Mom run both shows. They sold out of them. Mom demonstrated. Everybody bought one. They've made a business out of supplying these special products, right? These special products to a niche market, and are making money from all over the world. Started in their garage. Amazon, same way. Started in his garage. Selling other people's stuff. No product, no inventory, nothing of their own. Now look at them. Google doesn't build anything, but creates this digital highway that magically connects all of us. So the thing is when you start looking at your business plan, the first thing we ask is, can I do this? And then you get in there and you start doing it. Get in there, start doing it, realize, okay, I'm doing this. Now what? Okay, now what is build your dream. Set your goal. Set the idea that you want it to be and go for it. But remove the ambiguity, make it sexy, discipline your time, and identify exactly what it is you want to look like following this course of business. You have to be clear about it. The same thing with everything else. Because once you get here, once you get to this point that you've clearly identified, guess what happens? It becomes something else further on down the line. On down the line, you become something different. Because anything that you can think of right now pales in comparison to what you can think of once you're at that position, that goal of becoming something more. That's the whole lesson of all of the tales in the lore. All of these Jotuns from giant stock, so on and so forth, have moved forward in some way, helping each other and supporting each other to become something more than they imagined that they could be. You understand what I'm saying? The limit of your thoughts right now is just that, the limit of your thoughts right now. That will not be the limit of your thoughts once you've achieved that goal. So set the goal. Write it down on paper and be disciplined about your approach to it and work your ass off to make it a reality. Our spirituality is that tool that reminds us again and again and again and again, oh yeah, you can do that. We have a perfect recipe to be the most successful people in the world. If you look at history, we always have been. Right? So, having said all that, 45 minutes in, I got a Patreon here to do in a little bit where we're going to discuss some other things. If you haven't joined in on the Patreon, I do have a Gothy course and I have a couple of students in it. Tonight we're going to do some amazing stuff, and it will be listed on my Patreon along with this video here shortly. Exactly right. Sometimes you just got to do. Sometimes you can't sit there and plan. You got to just do. Sometimes you got to say, oh, that seems like a good idea, and do it. At least that's what they told me. Okay. Does anybody have any questions, any thoughts, ideas, a burning desire to share? Okay, then. I appreciate everybody being in here. Yep. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeremy. Read a book. Tell your friends. Bryan Wilton's great. See how many of them laugh at you. That'll be the best part. But the books are still great. So until tomorrow's Monday. President's Day, by the way. Go out there and grab it by the nose and whip its ass. And I appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you.